Just trying to move the box down. Lee.
Sorry?
Stevie, just trying to move the box down, eh?
Sorry, which box?
Just trying to reduce the box, the box for viewing the people so I can see the complete presentation.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, good afternoon once again. Today I'm making a presentation for Value for Her and Generation Africa Masterclass Series. My name is Zippy. I from IOPPK, Institute of Packaging Professionals, Kenya, and I am a director over there. In this call, I also have Joseph Nyongesa, who is the CEO of the Institute of Packaging Professionals, and from time to time, he will pop in and he will make his comments as we go along. So I'm doing module 5, and the topic is smart packaging and distribution, cutting post-harvest losses, and meeting safety standards. Challenges. Presentation is freezing.
It's okay. You can maybe when it freezes, we just pull it down and then you can
Yeah, start again.
it again.
Yes, okay. So, pardon me for that. The module overview is to explore innovative packaging methods and compliance protocols that protect product quality and extend shelf life, minimize costly post-harvest losses, align with local and export safety standards. So I already said something. So I am from the Institute of Packaging Professionals, Kenya, and we are an institute that focuses on educating packaging professionals, and yeah, packaging professionals and those who are involved in packaging. And our core business is, of course, training, and we also do some consultancies on need basis. We are members of the African Packaging Organization that covers all of Africa, and then World Packaging Organization. So at the World Packaging Organization, we are properly connected. We are members over there. We get all the information that is coming. We're really up to date with what is going on in the packaging space. And so myself, Zippy, a director, I have been in the packaging industry for about 3 decades. And so I have quite some experience in packaging. And now I am spending my time at the Institute of Packaging to share some of the knowledge and experiences that I have gained over the time. Talked about that one. So before we talk about smart packaging or anything else, it is important for us to understand what is this that we're talking about. We talk about post-harvest loss. What is this that we're talking about? So I thought I start with this presentation that talks about the value, the total value of selected food output in 2024. Now, I am talking about Kenya today. Of course, I can't talk about Africa, but what happens is if we talk about the numbers that we see in Kenya are very reflective of what is also going on in Africa and even in the world when we just talk about percentages. So you will pardon me because I'll talk about Kenya today, but you can it is similar numbers. If you start to think about Zambia and Malawi, some of the people that are on the call. So when we look at the total value, we're looking at approximately 14.4 million tons of food, valued at, let me talk in US dollars, 11.8 billion, produced in 2024. And this is an increase of what happened in 2023, which is a 5.9% over the previous year. Approximately 4.1 million tons, worth 3 billion, was lost, giving us an approximate percentage of 28.5. So I think in the numbers we see between 30 to 40% of food is lost. In this instance, in Kenya, it's about 3.3 billion worth of 3 billion shillings, lost, just lost like that in food loss. When we look at the selected food output by category, I have classified this graph and I put it in volume and also in shares. So when we talk about selected food output, what I mean here is it's not all food that are in this category. So in this category, we're looking at cereals, we're looking at fruits and vegetables, we're looking at roots and tubers, legumes and oilseeds, milk, meat and poultry, fish and aquaculture. So we're looking at about 8 categories in this selected food output. When we look at it now, one by one, we see that in cereals, we have 4.7 million tons. And fruits and vegetables, 6 million tons. So it looks like it's the highest in terms of volume. Roots and tubers, 2 million tons. Legumes, 0.6. Milk, 0.81. Meat and poultry, 0.9. And fish and aquaculture, 0.28 million tons. Now look at the way this picture is playing in the next one. So this is in terms of volume and shares. The next one, I'm looking at value. So when we look at value in 2024, we see that in cereals, we did about 13.3%. Okay, we have numbers there in Kenya shillings, but I think in percentage will work better for this group since we are not all from Kenya. Fruits and vegetables, 18.8%. Roots and tubers, 3.8%. Legumes and oilseeds, 1.7%. Milk, 3.6%. Meat and poultry, 56.5%. And then fish and aquaculture, 2.4%. When you look at this graph, a number that jumps at you would be the meat and poultry. And the question is, how come it is that high? And the answer to this question is that the way it is calculated is that they look at how much 1 kilo of meat costs. So out of all this, meat has got one of the highest values. In Kenya, it's about maybe 1,000 shillings per kilo. And that is why then the number is very high in terms of value. And then it's followed by fruits and vegetables. Now, fruits and vegetables are not, they're not very cheap either. But with fruits and vegetables, it's a lot of it that we consume. And that's the reason why you see that meat and poultry, it's quite high, 56.5%, and followed by fruits and vegetables, and then cereals. Not included in the food category is your cash crops, your tea, coffee, and flowers. Your industrial crops, the pyrethrum, cotton, and which are not human for food, not for human food use. We have your fodder and hay and silage, the animal feeds is not included, and then the wild forage foods, often they are untracked. Why post-harvest losses matter is because we're looking at about 28.5%, about 30% post-harvest lost after harvest. And in Kenya, it's costing us about 3 billion US dollars, just going to waste. And when we look at a number like this, we see that most people that are hit are the losses hit women and youth-led SMEs hardest. We've got quite some women. I think 80%. I think of women and youth work in this sector, and there you see shrinking of income and food security. Here, then we start to think that smart packaging and efficient distribution can actually cut losses by half, and we will see how. So value of post-harvest loss by commodity. I think I have explained this slide, and we've said that the biggest loss is coming in meat and poultry, followed by fruits and vegetables, cereals, and then the others. Your roots and tubers, your milk, your legumes, and then your fish and aquaculture. We look at losses a bit more again. We see that in fruits and vegetables, we lose 30%, between 30 to 50%. That the minimum loss is 30%, maximum is 50%. So whichever way we're looking at it, we're looking at a big loss. In cereals, between 15% when it is at the lowest, and 20%. So in all these products, all these categories, there are losses, and therein is the opportunity. So that was an introduction on numbers, just so that we can sort of get our brains to start to think about losses and what it means in terms of value and in terms of the food itself. So the next topic for me to talk about then now is, then it leads me into smart packaging. And I like to explain smart packaging because smart packaging is a word that goes around, it's used by so many people in so many different ways. In this particular instance, I want to talk about smart packaging, and in just two ways, in two simple ways. Smart packaging is split like in two ways. It's split into active packaging, and active packaging is where you have your protection and preservation of food. And then you have your intelligent packaging, which is where you're using it to communicate and market. So your QR codes are coming in there, because they're intelligent packaging and they will communicate and market. So it's better for me to just go into the categories directly with smart packaging. I felt like that would be a better approach for me, so I will do it in this way. So when we look at meat and poultry, we saw that we lose 200 billion Kenya shillings, and it is 51% of the total harvest, value lost. And some of the key reasons for high value loss in meat and poultry some of the factors are high per unit value. So there is where I say that you see that on average meat costs about 1,000 shillings per kilo versus fruits that cost about 50 shillings per kilo. So even small spoilage volumes translate into huge monetary losses. And then another factor is cold chain dependence. Meat requires strict temperature control from slaughter to sale, and any break leads to rapid spoilage and contamination. Another factor is infrastructure gaps, where many SMEs lack access to refrigerated transport, insulated storage, or backup power for freezers. Um, in Kenya, for example, here when it comes to infrastructure gaps, in Kenya we have these big bins, like metal bins. They're written on, they're, they're painted in white and written on meat in red. And that's where you see people on motorbikes go to the slaughterhouses, they pick that meat, put it into this box, and ride with it towards the retail. And there are challenges because the meat is just being transported. You are pretty much in this bin box, metal box. The hygiene of it, I am not 100% sure, but that is how it is transported. Then we have other factors: informal slaughter and handling. Here, up to 70% of meat passes through informal markets with poor hygiene, no traceability, and no proper storage. Some regulatory pressure: contaminated or untraceable meat often gets condemned at inspection points, leading to full losses at enterprise cost. Yeah, so here, when the meat gets when they slaughter, I think the people from the ministry will come and ensure that it meets the standard. If it doesn't, it just goes like that. So that's a loss, 100%. And then short shelf life, especially poultry, without chilling, fresh meat spoils within 6 to 12 hours in tropical heat. Processors incur immediate losses. So then, some practical smart packaging for meat and poultry. Um, um, so there are quite a number, and I will just walk you through some of these mitigations that can help us. So one of them is what we call vacuum skin packaging, VSP. And there's a small illustration there. These are just stock images that I got from the internet to illustrate. So what you see is meat portion tightly shrink wrapped to a flat board with almost no oxygen left inside. This cuts aerobic bacteria growth and adds 5 to 10 days shelf life and gives a premium retail look. In this instance, I really want to mention here that those of us who come from these African environments, we believe in fresh meat that you find that is hung in the butchery, and you can say, I want this meat, cut it out for me. And that is what we believe is fresh meat. But when we go to supermarket, of course, they have this meat that is packaged. But even me, myself, I have to remind myself that I'm in packaging and I do understand this. But the mindset is that the meat is hung out. You just go and ask for the meat that you want and take it home. And that's what you believe is fresh meat. So it's a mindset thing. And we hear stories of people talk about things like, oh, they put in madawa in Kenya. Madawa is like they have the preservation, they put in preservation, but it's not the truth. So from where we stand, from who we are in packaging, we try to talk about these things so that we can educate ourselves and educate other people. Because when we get meat that is packaged, then we know that we can extend the life of that meat, and the meat will keep fresh for longer. And it's good for us. Another packaging tool that is available for meat is what we call modified atmosphere packaging. And in some supermarkets, high-end supermarkets, of course, that is where you will find meat packed in punnets like the one that I have shown. These are rigid trays sealed after the air is flushed with carbon dioxide nitrogen mix. Example with chicken pieces. Why it matters? Carbon dioxide slows spoilage, microbes, color and juiciness are preserved, of others delayed. So it is a good tool that I think in Kenya it's been coming quite a bit, and I think we will see it more and more, and also now coming into the meat area. Another tool is the QR code. This is a traceable label. This is fairly new. I think in Europe and other places or imported products, you probably will see it on there. Uh, in Kenya, we are yet to see it more, but it is on the scene. And this is the QR code like we know it, because today we see more and more QR codes on many things. When we go to conferences, for example, they will tell you scan the QR code to see the program. QR code, I saw it a lot more in Kenya during COVID. When you go to the restaurant, and it was no paper, so you were given a QR code, and so you go in there and you scan and you see your menu. So it is not new. It is already on the or in our region. I think definitely fast tracked by COVID, and we will see it more and more now on packaging as well. So this, what you see is a scanned code printed or laser etched on pack, linking to batch, farm, and cold chain data. So in packaging, in this case, it will be about traceability of the product. What it does, it builds buyer trust, eases recalls, meets supermarket and export traceability rules. Then we have another tool that is insulated active crate. Yeah, so these are crates, and they're insulated, so the air is circulating. They're stackable plastic crate designed for ice or phase change packs. This they can keep product less than 4 degrees centigrade for 4 to 6 hours on short hauls, slashing spoilage during transport and market delays. I think that we've seen this more in fish. When you go to supermarket, you see in fish, fish is being stored in ice. Yeah, so it's a lot more in fish, but also meat can use this. Time temperature indicators, not so much I've not seen it much here in Kenya, but there is, in other parts of the world, they have the time temperature indicators, where you have a little, like a temperature thing on in the package, and it will show you, if the temperature is off, or, if you are within the temperature. I didn't have a visual for this one, but it is small stickers that change color if the pack stayed above 5 degrees centigrade for too long. So it will indicate for you straight away. And why it matters, it's easy visual check for retailers and inspectors. So it's very easy to manage especially in the supermarket or even at home. Yeah. And then we have antimicrobial films or sachets. I didn't show you an illustration here, but these are film coatings, e.g. silver ions or essential oil vapors or paper pads placed under cuts. They inhibit salmonella or listeria. I think when you buy fish that is already packaged, you will find a little white thing in the package, yeah? And that is the thing. So in fish, it's more common in fish than in meat, and this giving you 1 to 2 extra days of safety margin. So just to give an example of the impact, and here I've picked poultry because I know that there are some people in the on the call that are in poultry. So before, chicken cuts packed in open trays sold within 6 hours, and that would give us an approximately 30% returned or spoiled. But after, if you adapt one of these, same cut sealed in modified atmosphere packaging trays plus chilled crate, it gives you a better shelf life, extending to 3 days. Spoilage drops to less than 5%. Added QR label for farm traceability, gained access to urban and supermarket chain. So you can see that when we talk about a modified atmosphere packaging trays, there are real gains in terms of food loss. So I thought that that would be a good example for me to illustrate some of the things that I've been talking about. So that was meat and poultry, as we saw, the highest in value. And then I thought that I would give you another example on fruits and vegetables. So in fruits and vegetables, we saw that the loss there is between 30 to 50%. At the best, 30%, maximum 50%. So quite high in terms of losses. Here we have some tools, smart packaging tools, and one of them is I've talked about modified atmosphere packaging, and here it's a packaging that it's plastic. Of course, you have your punnet that you put your fruits in, and then you cover it with some plastic that is modified. And what happens? It replaces oxygen in the pack with carbon dioxide and nitrogen. So it helps you balance the gases within the package. And what it does is that once you like replace oxygen with nitrogen and carbon dioxide, what will happen is it will slow respiration, extending shelf life by 3 to 7 days, and it preserves color and firmness. Now, the thing about modified atmosphere packaging is we can only talk you it's very customized because horticulture products, they are breathable, they breathe, and because they breathe, they don't breathe at the same level. So so you have to talk about specifics for you to see the value that it brings to the specific product. So in this case, I just showed you strawberries. Another tool that we use is perforated films, respiration matching bags. I think you have seen, I think lettuce, is it lettuce or lettuce or something more in the supermarket where you see the product is in the plastic, and the plastic has little holes that have been pierced in the plastic, and that is called perforated films. And this help control gas and moisture exchange and prevents a condensation, mold, or shriveling, e.g. leafy greens or even tomatoes. We also have another tool called ethylene absorbing sachet pad. Here, this is this pad that absorbs ripening gas released by fruit. It delays over ripening and ideal for bananas and avocados and mangoes. I'll be frank with you. I have not seen this um, much. I've not seen it. I've not seen the adoption of it on our in our supermarkets. But it is now. We're talking about it. It is out there, and I think we will see more and more of it. I would like to have this in my house because my bananas go bad all the time. They overripe. Of course, they're sweeter when they're overripe, but then they go bad. Eh? Yeah, some more tools in the fruits and vegetable is the smart labels, time temperature. Yeah, now I have a small example. This is something that I just a stock image from the internet. Yeah. So here, what it does is color changing stickers or strips on the pack, and they show if cold chain was broken, flag poor handling before product is sold. So it's quite a good one because then you catch the problems before it goes out. Yes, QR coded traceability labels. I talked about this one, and I have a good image on this one where you have a QR code sitting on these are apples. And when you read the QR code, it will take you link to the batch, the farmer, and even compliance information. The on fruit especially, you don't have a lot of space to put all the information you would like. And I've seen people put on oranges. I've seen a little sticker with just a name. But if you do not do a big study, you may not even know who this name is for. But then now we're talking about QR codes that then now you can, when you scan the QR code, it takes you where you can see a lot more information about the orange. And that helps you sell more because people will now know that the orange from so and so, yeah, are good oranges, and and the whole story about the oranges and the way they are grown. When people read all this information about you, it builds consumer trust and enables recalls or even export compliance. There is another tool, composable biodegradable films. These are eco-friendly alternatives to plastic, and they improves brand appeal and meets retailer sustainability requirements. Eco-friendly plastic is more and more, we've talked about, you hear sustainable packaging, more and more it's coming through, and more people, there's a lot of work that is happening in that space. And we will see more and more of it because it is demanded not only by us in our own space here, but also in the world. Antimicrobial film coating. This is another one, and here is a quick illustration of it. This is a film infused with natural oils or nano agents. And why it matters, it cuts surface microbes, extends freshness of cut fruit and vegetable and veg portions. Now, if any one of you is like who I am, I've had stories and people say, oh, these people, they put medicine, they put in the fruit. We do not want our food to be, we want when you go to the supermarket, your watermelon cut as you watch, you take it home. But even when you take it home, they still cover, when they do have cut fruit, they still cover with a cling film, don't they? And when they cover it with the cling film, it's a way of preserving this food because then you can actually have it fresh for a few more days. Yeah, so it is what it is, and I think that we need to talk more and more about this because in the end, we are losing a lot of food by just not handling it well. So some real life impacts, we see some benefits, we reduce losses, some impact of shelf life extended by 30 to 60%, less wastage during transport and storage. We see better market prices because it's cleaner appearance, branding and compliance, open doors to formal retail and export. We see some sustainability gains and on eco-packaging reduces environmental impact, increasingly required by buyers. I will give you one more example. So I just took the top three, and this conversation cannot be over if we don't talk about cereals. So in cereals, we see some tools in cereals, and cereals, one of the biggest one, of course, is in our region is maize, because maize, is a staple food. And there we have quite some losses throughout the value, throughout the stages of that food system. So one of the tools that we are seeing in there is the hematic bags, e.g. Pix and our Grain Pro. So these are bags that are airtight, moisture-proof storage bags. Why it matters is they prevent insect damage, reduce aflatoxins, and extend storage life between 6 to 12 months. It's a big gain for us. It keeps the food good quality for consumption, and keeps the food for humans and not insects and weevils and everybody else who wants to eat that food. Another tool in the cereals is vacuum pouches for retail packs. So it looks like this. I'm yet to see this kind of a package, but it is there, and what we see it though, we see it, yeah, rice and sugar even. It's packed in plastic and it is sealed. Yeah, it is just sealed to keep it to keep the rice fresh. So, but in these vacuum pouches for retail packs, that you see the size, it's even in a standard pouch. It removes oxygen from the pack before sealing. And so it slows rancidity, prevents weevil infestation, and improves shelf life in small packs. We have seen this. We already have it rice packed in plastics, but we do know what plastics mean for us in that space, because plastic we have to migrate into eco-friendly plastic. Another tool is these desiccant sachets. I think you see them in, it's used even in clothes, and I see it also in medicine. So it's that kind of a desiccant sachet. It absorbs residual moisture inside sealed packs, keeps the cereal dry, inhibits fungal growth and clumping. Then another tool is the QR-coded traceability labels. We've talked a lot about this. So it is a label that you put on your package that will link to source, batch data, test results. So in this QR code, you can put all the traceability things that you would like it to be known, right? And so it's up to you what you put in the QR code. And how it matters is it builds trust with buyers, especially for organic export markets. Then we have stackable HDPE PP containers, a container like this, reusable rigid bins for bulk grain, prevents rodent damage, allows airflow, easy inventory and handling. I think the most cereal shops for SMEs, you see that they put their cereals in bags, in sisal bags, are they called gunny bags? Sisal bags, and that's where they put it, and then they sit them on like crates, you know, the cleaning under the crate, you know, the sisal bag has no lining in it, is therefore you can imagine the penetration, you know, the hygiene, the total hygiene of even that shop. And then, you know, they are kept open until that bag will be finished. So you can imagine how much dust that cereal has eaten before the bag gets, you know, it's over. And I don't know how long that bag sits on that pallet in that open store. I don't know for how long that sits there. And then, of course, there's always losses when it comes to things like this. Biodegradable paper PLA liners, that's a good example of it. Sustainable inner linings for sacks or boxes. These are eco-friendly options that meets green procurement standards. And then we have moisture barrier laminates. These are multi-layer plastic or foil packaging. Blocks moisture entry in humid environments, protects product integrity. So sub-real life impacts in cereals. We see an impact in cereals like maize, rice, millet, sorghum are highly vulnerable to moisture, mold, and pests during storage. Smart packaging role, hermetic bags like PICS or super grain bags. They block oxygen and moisture and prevent spoilage and pest infestation. The result is up to 98% reduction in storage losses reported in rural Kenya, Tanzania, and Rwanda. I know the question, or I want to imagine a question that will be lingering because it lingers in my mind as well. And the question is, packaging, when you look at all this packaging, what comes to mind? I can imagine, and we have heard it many times, what comes to mind is it is expensive. You know, when you think about, you know, for example, if you're going to get that crate versus just using a sisal bag, you know, sisal bag, you know, when you look at the cost of the bag, of the packaging itself, of course, sisal bag would be cheaper than a crate. But when you look at the impact, when you look at the value that a crate brings you and the value that the sisal brings you, then you start to see that indeed better the crate than the sisal. But a lot of entrepreneurs were always thinking about, you know, how much money is it going to cost you before you move from one thing to the other. And of course, bottom line matters a lot. But I think the thinking must be that in the end, what is the impact on what we are losing? We've seen we're losing billions and billions of shillings in losses, 50%, 30%, you know, big percentages. And in value, we lose a lot of money. If we go backward and look at the packaging that we use to help us mitigate those losses, indeed we will make more than what we are losing. So that is just a message that I would, as a packaging practitioner, I would like to put across. So we talk about a little bit about compliance protocols and safety standards. I have seen that we have selected about EAS 38, which is a labeling requirement across the EAC. We have EAS, this is East African Standards, 930 and or ISO. These are food safety management systems. And then we have Codex and HACCP, which are guidelines for high value export markets. And then, of course, the check product specific, which is the MRL and packaging material approvals. So let me just go through them a little bit quickly. So East African Standard 38 is a labeling of prepackaged foods, EAC standard. And the core requirement is on all foods. And the requirement here is you have to clearly indicate the product name that must not be misleading, the ingredients list, the date marking, is it manufactured or is it expiry best before, the weight, the manufacturer information, i.e. your name, your address, the country of origin, which is mandatory, batch number for traceability, storage and use instructions, language as well becomes also is important. It is important, yeah. And that is your East African Standard 38. And this is the East Africa Standard that cuts across the East African markets. Extra for cereals, that is the maize and breakfast cereal, is the specific name, e.g. maize breakfast cereal or white maize grain. The grade and crop year for maize, for human consumption statements, disposal instructions, GMO declaration, preparation instructions for consumer use. More of it is special cereal products like fortified and supplementary foods must also include age suitability, and nutritional information and claims, rules, and there are some standards that guide that, and not a breast milk substitute if needed. Then we have another East African standard, the 930. And I want to talk about this standard, 930 versus ISO, because I do know that we hear more the ISO standards, but the EAS 930 standards, they just came in not too long ago. I think it was maybe 2019, and where we now have the harmonized standards for the region. And these are food safety certifications. So EAS 930 is a regional harmonized standard across the EAC, suitable for regional trade and SME-friendly compliance. And then we have ISO standards. These are globally recognized, ideal for companies targeting export markets beyond Africa. Holding either one is sufficient for compliance with food packaging and safety requirements in Kenya and most of East Africa. Another one is the HACCP. The HACCP as a standard for, this one is for high value exports. This is for the hazardous to have, one that controls hazardous foods. So here it's a Codex Global standard by FAO and the WHO, sets international food safety principles. HACCP is 7-step preventive system to control food hazards. Its basis is the ISO 22000 or EAC 930 or WTO, W Trade Organization trade rules. It is recognized globally and recommended for all exporters. MRL limits, maximum residue limits. These are legal limit of pesticide, chemical residues on food. It's product specific and market specific. It's key for cereals, coffee, fruits, and vegetables. If you exceed any of this, your export will be rejected. So here is a small example of what MRL for aflatoxin B1 in cereals should be. Another one is the packaging material approvals. Packaging must be safe for food contact. It must comply with EU, USA, and EAC. So for EAC, it is KEBS, EAS. EAC, so Kenya is KEBS, Uganda is UNBS, Tanzania is Tanzanian Bureau of Standards, Rwanda Bureau of Standards, Burundi, Bureau of Standards, South Sudan, Bureau of Standards, and it is quite similar in all the countries. And then, of course, the EU, there's a standard, and the USA is the FDA. And this must be non-toxic, inert, and tested for migration. So a checklist for export readiness is MRLs, verified for target market, contaminant tests done, packaging approved for food contact, certificates or specs from supplier. Please note that packaging must be done packaging must be tested for because packaging comes into contact with food. So the packaging must be good for you for to pack what is consumed by humans. So they call it food contact. So before I finish, when we also talk about packaging, what I've been talking about has been what we call primary packaging. Primary packaging is packaging that comes into direct contact with food. So once you do your packaging in your primary packaging, you then take the primary packaging and put it together in a pile and make and put them perhaps in one box, maybe 12 units, 6 units, whatever number of units, so that it's easy for you to carry around the packaging, and that then is called the secondary packaging. Usually, it would be like in a box, because the box then would carry several single units in that box. From secondary packaging, you then want to move your packaging to maybe you want to move your packaging to the retail, and therefore then you want to carry just not one box but several boxes. So then you would have the several boxes sitting on a pallet. Now that pallet is then what we call tertiary packaging, that will enable us to carry several secondary packaging on one pallet for easier handling. And when you do it like that, of course, you know you limit you make your handling easier, better, and also you help not to damage the products. And so packaging really does come in 3 levels. And that is all I had to say. And these are our social media handles, and you can follow us at IOPPK. Now, before I hand over the opportunity to back to you, Lee, I want to ask Joseph Nyongesa, who is the CEO at the Institute of Packaging Professionals, to say something. Joseph, are you there?
Joseph, we can't hear you.
Joseph, we can't hear you. Joseph, we can't hear you. We can't hear you, Joseph. Now you're on mute. Joseph, sorry, we can't hear you.
We still can't hear you, Joseph. Maybe you can try to leave, then come back and see if that works. You can leave the call and then come back and see if that works when you connect the audio. Okay, thank you. So as we wait for Joseph's audio to come back in, thank you so much, ZP, for that session and sharing with us. Um, we would want to finish off the session. We will be finishing towards the end with the Q&A, and we've gotten quite a lot of questions. And Zippy, maybe you can also go to the Q&A box and start getting an idea of what the questions are about. But before that, you know how we normally do this. What we've been doing in the other weeks is that we've been having the presentation. We've been having the facilitator do a presentation, and then after that, we get a small activity. After that, we get a small activity around that takes us into the breakout rooms. But because of the feedback that we received from the survey that we ran last week around how we've been running those breakout rooms. So what we want to do is that we want to deploy a small survey, and please bear with us. We want your feedback around that survey just to know, do we continue with the breakout rooms, or do we just do a whole 1 hour and 1 hour presentation and then wrap up the presentation with a good time of question and answers. And you know what we've been doing with the question and answers? Because time has not been sufficient for the question and answers, we've been responding to them in form of a document when we share the recording. And probably that has worked or that hasn't worked. But what we want to do, and the reason we've been doing that is because the breakout rooms have been taking quite a lot of time. And so I would want to deploy a short survey, and I will request us, this will should take us like a minute or so, then we go into the Q&A. I will launch this survey, and I will request, there you go. So the survey is live now. If you can just respond in what you think about the breakout rooms, do we start, or do we do away with them altogether? Just take a minute to just respond. When we get to 40 or 40 responses, then we can close it. So far, we are 2022. Thank you. Halfway there now. We have 28 responses. Let's try to get 40, and then we can close the poll. And then we will go with whatever the feedback will be at that point. Shayla, please can you confirm you can hear me, Shayla? Because I think I'm audible. Can everyone hear me? Thank you, Chelimo. I think okay, I'm audible. So please, we have 32, just 8 more responses, and then we can we'll see where to close the poll from there. Thank you. All right, 5 more responses, then we close. 7 more responses, then we close the poll. All right, interesting. We are at a 50-50 percent balance. All right, 6 more responses, please. Just click on whether it's a yes or no. It's a very simple, straightforward question. All right, 5 more responses. We close, please. 4 more responses. We are heading to 2 minutes. I think 3 more responses, then we close. 3 more, please. If you've been attending the sessions, this is our session number 5. So if you've been attending the sessions, you've seen how we've run the breakout session. If you want us to continue the breakout session, please tell us whether it's yes or no. Again, we are back to a 50-50% balance. 2 more responses. All right, 1 more. 1 more, we close. 1 more, we close the poll. All right, since we are not getting that 1 more, we'll end the poll here. And the poll is unfortunately, it's at 51%. 51% said no. And there you go. I think you can see the poll now on my screen. 51% of people said we don't do the breakout sessions and the breakout rooms, and 49% say we go ahead. So because these sessions are meant for you, these sessions are meant to build you. And so we want to go ahead with the response of the majority because we don't want to do things within these sessions that are not building you. So if we feel like how what we're doing has not really worked, please let's just will submit to your feedback and just structure the sessions timely so that we have more time for presentation and more time for question and answers. And then we will not do the breakout rooms going forward. So we will deploy another survey. The other feedback that we got in the course of the survey is around the timing of these sessions. Some people feel it's too late. So there was a request to sort of bring it a bit earlier. So we tried that today by having it an hour earlier. And based on the preliminary, of course, of the participants so far, I can see we lost some people that have been joining us. So we lost quite some people. So we will probably do another survey later, or maybe next time around the time, whether the same time works, or we do it maybe towards the morning hours. But that's really leave that for next week. But for now, I think we will do away with the breakout sessions anyway. Thank you so much for everybody for that feedback. Now I'll hand it over back to Joseph. I don't know, Joseph, now if you can hear us. Joseph, I can see you're unmuted, but we still can't hear you. So it must be an issue with the audio, Joseph. So when it comes back live, then we will be more than happy to hear from you. But in the meantime, please, I want to jump over to the Q&A, and the first Q&A I sort of responded to it because this was more of a question. It was more of a question for AGRA, and someone Doreen was asking that. If it's possible for AGRA to support agri-SMEs with agro-processing to acquire such kind of packaging that was being described by Zippy. And my response was this, that we are developing what we are calling the food innovation hubs. And these food innovation hubs are specifically to support agri-SMEs, primarily women and youth, around some of these elements, and especially things to do with certifications and supporting them with compliance. So that is all the food innovation hubs will be about, supporting with the certifications, compliance, and obviously with a lot of focus around nutrition. So if you're a Value for Her member, so please be on the lookout for those opportunities once this goes live. We are still in the very foundational stages of that conversation. But once it comes live, we'll probably do a call for applications or something of that sort where we evaluate the levels and the types of businesses. And then we can bring a group together of people who we can support in terms of getting them registered, getting them certified, teaching them, or deploying technical assistance directly to their warehouses or to their factories to see the kind of setup they have and how we can support them to get registered and to start compliance and be compliant, and then be able to access some of these market opportunities that require some of these certifications. So yes, we are working towards that. Those food innovation hubs, those will be deployed sometime once the foundational work has been done. So please, if I believe most of us are, not all of us are Value for Her members, be on the lookout for those opportunities. So that said, I want to jump into another question by Deborah Munyekenye. Zippy, so please, if you can respond to this. The question is, I am in Kenya. I process palm oil, honey, and make bar soaps. I have found it difficult to get appropriate packaging. Can you please advise where I can easily get them? So we probably just take 1 minute because this question is specifically probably for people in Kenya. So I'll just give you 1 minute to respond to it because we have people outside of the country as well. So just respond to that with the context of Kenya. If you have any context outside of Kenya, you can also respond to it. But I think can stay within the Kenya. But just take 1 minute because for the sake of those people who are not in Kenya. Go ahead, Zippy.
The question is on processing. She processes palm oil,
honey, and bar soaps. So she's been getting challenging with accessing this type of packaging. Honey and bar soaps.
And bar soaps.
Yeah, she wants to know where she can find packaging solutions.
Okay. Can you give her our number? and we can give you some contacts.
No problem, no problem. So when
Yeah,
I
yeah.
actually, so would that be okay if I typed your email, Zippy, if you typed your email on the chat box? Your personal or the, sorry, your work email, or maybe
Yeah,
the info email that you can receive. And
I could do it for, yeah.
all right, thank you. These participants are very agile, so expect to hear a lot from them. All right, thank you for that.
Mm.
info@ioppk.com. Please,
.com. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so please, Deborah, you can send an email to that email, and then they will link you up with some of the people that do that. All right, let's go to Nyamajora. Nyamajora is asking, any explanation on how we can prolong the shelf life of flour, especially maize flour? What's the best way to package it? Over to you, Doreen. Over to you, Zippy.
Any idea on how to prolong the flour?
Yes.
Because at the moment, flour is I see some flour being packed in plastic, but that is not correct. Because flour has to have aeration. There has to be air that is circulating in the flour. And in any case, we always just have best before date. So you can only have, you cannot extend food forever, right? So, but maybe Joseph, sorry,
Okay, go ahead.
yeah, maybe Joseph can have a better, um, maybe a better insight, better than myself, because from where I stand, where we are right now with flour in the packets, in the paper, it is good, eh? But how to prolong that? Maybe Joseph can have some ideas. I would I would I would wait for Joseph to come and respond to that.
Joseph, I don't know now if you can, you get us? We still can't hear you.
He has challenges.
We still can't hear you. Okay, we'll put a pin on that question, and hopefully Joseph will be able to join before we wrap up the call. So we'll put a pin on that call around preservation or extending the shelf life of maize flour. In the meantime, we'll go to the next question from Tochuku. So Tochuku is asking, in preserving our products, uh, how do we know and choose the best preservatives for particular products, and how do we identify preservatives that are not harmful for consumption? Zippy, I don't know if you got that.
Um, my area is packaging, but I do know that I think KEBS have if you talk to Kenya Bureau of Standards, if you're in Kenya, they can be able to tell you, give you some guidance on that.
I think because even the next question, okay, still the same question from Tochuku. If there's any knowledge or any background you have around the types of preservatives, the ones that are acceptable, the ones that maybe will not work for global standards. I don't know if you have anything around preservatives that you can share, or do we? Again, we can always, as we've been doing, any question that will not be responded to, probably we will send the document to Joseph, and then Joseph can respond to them. But it would be great if we can have Joseph respond. Joseph, if you can work on your audio, it would be great to hear from you on some of these feedback.
And Steve Lee, it is okay for you to also get the questions and send them to me, and I can check with Joseph and or check with other players, and I can come back to you.
All right, that's great. Zippy, I don't know if do you have access to the Q&A box? Can you see the Q&A?
I I am in the wrong place, I think. Let me just see.
I've made you a co-host so that you can see the Q&A, and then you can maybe pick up from those questions the ones that you can respond to live. Or do we just go one by one?
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Can you see them?
Yes. Now I can see them. Yes.
Okay, just maybe just go through some of the questions. We stopped at Catherine Kaba, so you can look at Catherine Kaba's question going down.
What number were you at?
Catherine Kaba's question. So we've left
Catherine
the
Kaba.
Chukwu's questions. Yeah, so Catherine Kaba is the last we
Okay.
need to.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So
For
yeah,
Catherine Kaba, what packaging material or pouches are best recommended for roasted coffee? There are many materials on the market, both with vacuums and non-vacuum ones. Which ones are best recommended? Yeah, Catherine, on coffee, I've been doing quite some work on coffee myself recently, and I know that they're pushing a vacuum. They're pushing vacuum pouches with a degassing seal, right? And that is good because what it does, it helps the coffee breathe, right? And so and then that keeps the coffee longer, and that is also good. But one thing that you also want to consider is uh, the coffee that you are talking about. How long? What is the shelf life of that coffee? Because again, when you put a degassing valve on the package, the package of course becomes a bit more expensive, and it's supposed to give you extended shelf life for coffee. But if the product is a small portion, or two, the shelf life is not long, then you are over packaging that coffee. So again, Catherine, I've done quite a bit of work on coffee. You can actually um, DM me, and we can talk more about this one. Is that okay, Catherine?
Yes, it's okay. Thank you so much.
Grace Gondwe, on meat and poultry packaging, does the MAP packaging also ensure quality and taste of the product? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. As I've said before, on meat and poultry, and when it comes to MAP, MAP extends the shelf life of the product. So all it does, it just plays around with gases within the packaging itself. So allowing having more of carbon dioxide and nitrogen, and less of oxygen. So that is all it does. And when it does that, then it extends the shelf life of the meat. The meat will keep the color. The meat will keep the taste. The meat will be good, just good meat, yeah, and with a lot of advantage to it. So yeah, MAP is will ensure quality and taste, and it's a practice that has been done for um, globally. It's a practice that happens, but only in Africa, where we like fresh. That's where we are having challenges. I think it's a mindset thing. Okay, Grace Gondwe. Alice, are local manufacturers of primary packaging materials meeting international standards for hygiene and product preservation? Yes, they are. We have Kenya Bureau of Standards that ensures that we meet all the standards, and factories or manufacturers, you must get certification, food certifications before you start to produce any food. So yes, the manufacturers are meeting the standards. Mm. Alice, what policies exist to support the development of affordable and eco-friendly packaging in East Africa? Yeah, this is a good question. Eco-friendly
Just a
materials
second,
are
just a second, Zippy. I think Joseph is trying to connect, but we can't. We're getting a lot of feedback from his audio. Joseph, can you speak? Joseph, we're getting feedback from your
Hello,
audio.
hello, can you hear me?
Oh, yes, now we can hear you. Welcome.
Hello?
We can hear you now. Welcome.
Okay, sorry. Okay, I had an issue with one of the units. I don't know why it had problems.
No
But
problem.
I've now
Thank you.
connected on another unit.
okay.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you.
So Zippy, you had some questions to defer. We have over 17 questions right now with about less than half an hour to go. So Zippy, I don't know which questions you want to defer to Joseph. Maybe around the maize
Joseph,
question.
can you see the sorry?
Maybe around the maize question. The maize flour, how to preserve maize flour.
The maize flour.
So maybe let me just read it. But Joseph, I've made you a co-host so that you can see all the questions. But there was a question by someone from Kenya who is asking how to prolong the shelf life of maize flour and what the best ways are to package it. I don't know, Joseph, is that something you can respond to?
Well, basically in Kenya, the standard pack for maize flour is normally paper, around 80 or 100 GSM paper, and it is supposed to keep the flour for almost a year. If the flour is packed in paper, I don't know how long you want to extend it, but in most cases, I think if the product lasts more than a year, then there is a problem because the flour, normally when you pack a product, you want to get it consumed very quickly. And I think in most cases, if flour is packed in the standard paper, the paper which we all know, which is used almost around the world, the flour should last almost a year. And I'm sure nobody making flour would like it to last more than a year. Because if it has not been eaten within that 1 year, then there is a marketing challenge. Because the longer you keep a product, ideally when you pack a product, you want it to be consumed as quickly as possible. You don't want it to stay for too long. I mean, like a year and more. So the current arrangement is for flour, maize flour, especially and wheat flour, is that paper should keep it for about a year. And that is considered from the storage tests. Because the way we determine storage is we pack the product, put in that particular pack, and keep it in storage, or we have some systems called accelerated storage. So you test it in different conditions to see if there are any spoilage observations. And so far, what has been done in paper has been considered adequate. For at least 1 year is enough. The product will still be okay. But after that, you'll start seeing some growth, some bacterial growth or other things. Okay, fine.
Thank you, Joseph. I think we have quite some questions.
Maybe Joseph can respond to the question of preservatives. What kind of preservatives are acceptable in the global standards, and which one might be considered harmful, even for local standards?
Preservatives are normally for a specific product, because different preservatives are used for different products, and each of them goes through a rigorous safety clearance, safety testing. It is tested by the leading laboratories around the world, like the Food and Drug, FDA, any preservative, anything you put in food goes through rigorous protocol to make sure that it is safe. In fact, in the recent food safety day, I think was celebrated this year or something, or this month, said if it is not safe, it's not food. If it is not safe, so safety is one of those things that is taken very seriously by food nutritionists and by us in packaging. Make sure the pack is safe. It will do no harm to the food. It will not go into the food and cause health issues. So any preservative is supposed to be safe by all the standards around the world, high international standards. There are all kinds of safety standards that have to be complied with.
Okay. Okay. And thank you, Joseph. It's just that we have little time, so we have to see that we respond to as many questions as we can. Eh?
Okay, okay.
Yes, thank you. Alice was asking, are local manufacturers of primary packaging materials meeting international standards? I think I said yes. For hygiene and product, I said yes.
Yeah, that's in order.
What policies exist to support the development of affordable and eco-friendly packaging in East Africa? Joseph, can you answer that?
Yeah. The East Africa is very serious about affordable packaging for various reasons, because packaging extends, creates opportunities and does what is called value addition, and it does protection and avoids food losses. So there is, and also enables branding. So there are deliberate efforts to ensure that the packaging is affordable and eco-friendly. And there are incentives in terms of investments. If you want to invest in packaging industry, there are tax incentives, tax holidays. And if you want to invest in packaging machinery, I think it comes in import duty free. And there are environmental sanctions for some packaging, like we have started what is called extended producer responsibility. So the packages which do more harm in the environment are subject to higher levies, so that options can be looked at. So there's a lot of incentive plastic resins which are used a lot, are very low taxes, paper, there are a kind of a lot of incentives, financial incentives, to try and encourage the packaging industry, and encourage packaging that doesn't harm to the environment, doesn't do harm to the environment.
Okay. Great, thank you. The same question has been asked by Alice and also Catherine, exactly the same question. So that's taken care of. Jennifer Kawa, I grow coffee. I would like to know how best I can package for wholesale at the local market. I'm not yet ready for exports.
Well, when you come to coffee is very flavor sensitive and it's very hygroscopic. So we have a lot of packaging options for coffee. You can use aluminum, paper, PE. We have pouches which are readily available. Like in Kenya here, you can have pouches on the market depending on your volumes. You can go to some converters here, and they have a whole range of coffee packs which they can share with you. So if you want, you are a small SMEs, you can go to some of these suppliers and you get a standard
I think she's
pouch.
talking about wholesale, Joseph.
Wholesale, or what? If you
Wholesale.
want to do wholesale, you want to pick pack in big bags, or
Wholesale at the local market.
you see, it depends what the market. Are you going to sell in the retail market or the wholesale? In this market means there are wholesalers who buy who buy the pack and then they have to sell to retailers, because I'm imagining that you are talking of the primary packs, or I'm not interpreting the question correctly. Because what is wholesale? You are buying it in bulk, or you are roasting, because coffee is roasted and then it is packed in big bags of 20 kilos, or those
60 kilos.
other 60, or those hermetic bags. Then somebody goes to pack in small retail packs. So what is the target market? Is it you and me? Because when I go to the supermarket or the kiosk, I want some coffee. In this country, we have like Gibson's coffee or Java coffee or Kahawa #1 or something. I buy a retail pack. Is that what is the market? Because when you start packing, you must, or if you are doing in bags of 60 kilos, then you have the bulk packers in the country. You go and buy the big paper bags. They call them paper bags, or big laminate bags, which are available. Are you? Is the question from Kenya, or?
Jennifer Kawa.
Maybe Jennifer, can you unmute yourself and just maybe articulate the question better, so that we can move to the next one? Jennifer?
Yes, thank you very much. I am a coffee farmer in Uganda, and I have not been in the business for long. So I would like to be advised on packaging in bags of 60 to 65 kilograms to be sold on the local market. Thank you. Well, what we have in Uganda here are gunny bags.
Yes.
Yes, that's what they kind of like recommend to be the quality bags to pack in. I just want to know whether those are good enough or there's something better. Thank you.
Those are good. Those are good enough. Those are the right ones. The Grain Pro, is it called Grain Pro bags? Those are the recommended ones.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. And again, Jennifer, get in touch with me so I can put you in contact with because there's a big project on coffee going on also now in Uganda, and I think you should be part of it. I don't know whether you're too late to join, but you should. And also the ones who are in Kenya, in the team, in the group right now, and they're in coffee, please get in touch with me, because we can put you into contact with the project that is now running on coffee, and you can meet up with, you can get more information. More trainings will happen also in Kenya next month on coffee packaging. Okay. How good is plastics in using for packaging, as we've been told that they can cause cancer when exposed to high temperature? What could be an alternative, Joseph?
Well, I know that there's a lot of going on. It depends. Plastic is a very broad field. There are so many types of plastics. So it depends on what kind of plastics. Because when we talk of plastics, we have PET, PP, and all kinds of plastics. I know that there is a lot of, there's need to give accurate information about plastics, because there's been a lot of misinformation about plastics out there. And we are aware that there's a lot of concerns about environmental issues with plastics, and the packaging industry and the plastic industry are trying to address those issues. make sure that plastic doesn't do harm in the environment. Now, when it comes to safety, there is what we call food contact materials. Depending on the materials and how it is used, then it could create some challenges. But the packaging and the product must be able to get along. So it is very product specific. When it comes to high temperatures, as I've already said, it depends on the particular type of plastics, because plastics is very general. They are in a lot of plastic material.
Does smart packaging affect, and how can we tell if a contamination problem comes from the product handling or packaging itself? Joseph?
Well, when we talk about smart packaging, we have active and intelligent packaging. The intelligent packaging will send some message. Maybe the color will change or something will change. You will notice that something has gone wrong. So depending on the type and the intelligence that has been built in that package, it will be able to show that it is something has gone wrong. In fact, the packaging monitors the condition of the product. If the color changes or there's something changes with it, then the packer will be able to communicate. That's why it is called intelligent packaging.
Yeah, I think the question is the problem comes, how do you know whether the problem is coming from the product handling or the packaging itself?
Or both.
Yeah.
Well, I think it is also again product specific. Yeah, these issues of smart packaging and active depends on the particular product. Some products will show automatically if it is handling or it is the product. Because if it's the product, maybe it will change the color.
Yeah.
And you'll see that it is this product has gone bad.
Good. Yavumba Niasula, I'm in meat, poultry, fish processing through smoking. What is the best package available for such? I'm in Malawi, and we have very limited access to packaging materials. And as you have said, the ones you have presented today are costly.
Well, smoked fish, of course, the smoking of the fish extends the shelf life of the fish for maybe 3 months, or depending on how dry it is. The packaging will only help you to contain it and maybe brand it and enable you to take it to the market. So pouches could contain fish, or tubs could contain. I know that Malawi has a limited industry and packaging industry and gets most of the packaging maybe from South Africa. And sometimes you can also import this, once you specify the pack you want. Let's say you want to pack your fish in pouches and brand it Malawi smoked fish. You can get some pouches from either the region, in the Comesa region, or outside Comesa.
Maybe that, Yavumba Nyasula, maybe it's not conclusive. And again, we can take up some of these questions, when we DM us. Kafila Ayantola, I want to know the packaging for African bush mango seeds granules. so as to increase shelf life and preserve its freshness?
I think for fresh bush mangoes, one of them is if you are thinking of primary packs, of course, you have to delay the ripening. You have to delay the ripening of those mangoes. So if you put in ethylene absorbers, you talked about ethylene absorbers, they will delay ripening. They deny them oxygen to breathe. And the boxes, if you are putting in boxes, they need to be well aerated. Or if you are putting in crates, they should be well aerated because you want to reduce to slow down the ripening. I think that's the basic thing, is to slow down ripening. I think Zippy, you talked about the ethylene. Pardon? You talked about ethylene absorber.
Yeah. Yes, I did.
Yeah, so you need to have those ethylene absorbers to try and remove oxygen, deny them oxygen, or what we can call modified atmospheric packaging, so that you have more carbon there than oxygen for it to last longer.
I think Kafila Ayantola has raised her hand. Lee, if you can grant her permission to talk.
Yes, she can.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
My question has to do with the mango seed, the African bush mango. I'm talking about Ogbono this time around, the bush mango seed. The bush mango seed is the one that is used to make soup, the slimy soup that is only used in the eastern part of the African part, as well as in Western Nigerian, eastern parts, and some other places in the Western Africa. So these seeds, when the bush mango has been taken, this are brought out of the mango encapsulment, and the seeds are now being grounded. They will be grounded that they can be used for soup, slimy soup. In our own local palace here, because I'm from a Yoruba tribe, we call it apon. It has, maybe I should show you a picture or an image of how it looks like.
Antonio, let me just cut you off probably because yours is a bit more specific case. So probably since that is specific, using the email address that was given here, that you can write to Zippy and then they can always respond to that, because I think yours is a specific case just for you. And we don't want, because we have like 14 minutes remaining, we just take up more of the questions that are general, that apply to most of the people. And then those ones that are more personal, we can respond to them through the normal way we've been doing them, through a document or through personally connecting with the team at the team of Zippy and Joseph. So maybe we just go ahead. Sorry about that, Ayatola.
Okay.
Go ahead, Zippy.
Okay. Next is Olabisi Adesina. What could be wrong with a flour product having weevils after like 3 months of production and packaging in a sealed pouch? The product is preservative-free rice flour, to be precise. Joseph?
The reason why the weevils grow is because they have moisture and oxygen. That's the only reason why they grow. Most likely the crop was not dried properly, dried to the right moisture level, because even in these hermetic bags, the cereals or whatever you pack there must be completely dry, and you must flush out all the oxygen so that the thing is sealed. Like, the reason why we call it hermetic sealed is because air cannot get in, oxygen cannot get in, and cannot go out. So there could be two causes. One is the sealing integrity. The seal is not, there is some air going in, because weevils need air to survive. They need oxygen and they need moisture. So those are the two parameters that could be causing that. So in seal integrity and dryness, flushing out all the oxygen is critical.
Okay. Chelibo Koech, please talk a little bit about recycling, reusing packaging materials. Is it safe? And the procedures that surrounds its safety.
Well, recycling is one of those things that is required for sustainability. There are several, if we look at recycling, when we look at packaging, we have like glass recycling, where the glass is taken back and reused. It is cleaned and safe. We have paper recycling, which is used again, but for certain applications to ensure that it is safe. We have metal recycling, where it is used again and made into different products of the same products. We have plastic recycling, which in most cases is you recycle this plastic and use it for another product. But anything that comes in touch with food, whether recycled or fresh, has to go through serious safety protocols, because food is sensitive. So it has to comply with all the required regulations and standards, and it goes through a lot of tests. So if we use anything recycled, we make sure that it is safe. Safety is the first checklist. So be assured that anything that is reused in the packaging context is safe.
I guess this question also would be, when it comes to manufacturers, of course, they follow all the safety protocols because they must have certification, they must do that. But perhaps in the not so formal ways, that could be an issue then. Mwape Lubilo, what's the best way to prolong the freshness and lifespan of sorghum?
Well, if the sorghum is dry, the first step, of course, you make sure it is thoroughly dry and it has a moisture content. Like in Kenya here, we want the moisture content to be like not more than 10% moisture content. So drying is one of the ways to do that. And of course, those hermetic bags, properly sealed, air flushed out, it will give you maybe up to 12 months of storage or even longer. And in most cases, you want to make sure that you store the crop long enough until the next harvest.
Yeah. Okay, good. We have 3 more questions and we have only 9 minutes to go, Joseph. Ruth Adesina, since our case study is in Kenya, do we have a global body or certification for packaging?
Well, there are, yeah.
Carry on.
We have PRC, I don't know, British Retail Consortium, and we have a lot of other bodies which are not in, they are like what is it, FSSC or something. Mm. Yeah, the food safety things. We have regulatory, like in Kenya, we have Food and Drug Act under the government chemist, which tests all these things to make sure they are safe, and there are standards. We have food safety standards. We have Kenya Bureau of Standards. We have Ministry of Health standards, which combine to make sure that all these things are safe. So safety is taken seriously, and there are these global certification agencies and even local certification agencies that make sure that you can get the necessary certification that you need.
And we have ISO as well, ISO standard, which is the global one.
ISO, there's a lot of certifications going on.
Okay. Mary Ankra, Ghana. Apart from jet sacks, what other packaging is best for packaging raw dried cashew nuts for exports? With pouches, tins, glass, and plastic containers, which enhances quality and maintains freshness of coffee and cocoa powders.
Repeat the question again.
Apart from jet sacks, what other packaging is best for packaging raw dried cashew nuts for exports? And then I think she goes and says, with pouches, tins, glass, and plastic containers, which enhances quality and maintains freshness of coffee and cocoa powder.
I think the best.
These are all packaging, different packaging materials, right? So which one is the best for raw dried cashew nuts?
I think the one that that comes to mind immediately is aluminium. Aluminium combined with paper is one of the best materials for that kind of combination, because again, cashew nuts are also very moisture sensitive. So we want to make sure that moisture is completely kept away. So aluminium is a strong preserver, a strong moisture barrier, and also light barrier, and paper for strength and stiffness. So aluminium combined with paper is a very powerful thing for that. Of course, the costs will have to be calculated to see its cost effectiveness.
Good. Alice, I do beekeeping. I package honey for local and export. I find it difficult to get a good package for the retailers, and getting in China is expensive. Where can I get it in EAC? I'm in Tanzania.
Well, Tanzania has Kio Glass. Has you tried Kio Glass? There is Kio Glass in Tanzania. And in Kenya here, we have, where Kenya gets some glasses from Tanzania. There are also glasses here, glass people in this country, like Nil Glass and Adak. But has she tried Kio Glass in Tanzania? It's a big glass manufacturer in Tanzania. And if you don't want to pack in glass, you can pack in PET. It is also quite used around the world.
Okay.
Thank you. The Kio company is here in Tanzania, yes, but it does production for the bigger companies like the Coca-Cola, the Pepsi, and whatever companies. So if you do the packages of honey in a glass jar, it's a bit delicate. If you do except when you do the shipping, they can break and you get lost. So mostly we prefer the plastic materials that are easy even, and when you do the shipping or when you do whatever. The glass jar, it's a bit, and that's a bit expensive compared to plastic jar.
Yeah.
Yes, we do get the packages from Kenya, the PET package from Kenya, but they are of the same type. There is no any other, like something of another design. Maybe perhaps in Kenya you have something good, or there is something different from what we are getting, because we're only getting from one supplier and it is the same type of the same size for everyone. So it's like a common product. It's a common package around
There's no
here.
differentiation.
Yeah, there is no differentiation. So perhaps there is something else, something good. You need to see something on shelf attracting. So you have to go extra mile. So we go extra mile and get the packages from Kenya. From not Kenya, from China. It's expensive. You need to ship them from China, and then when you have to pay and the taxes and whatever. So you find the product's price becomes higher compared to a person buying a package from Kenya. But it's the same package. So if you need to change the package, then where can we get the other sizes and styles?
Anyway, we can look at the different types we have. Maybe you get from Pack or what? They are the ones who sell all over the place. It's one. They normally get the round jars, and those are the standard ones. But there are other shapes here in Kenya, but some are proprietary. What I mean by that is you invest in your own shape. And for SME, small and medium enterprises, that's always a bit hard. But if you want a unique shape, then you have to invest in what we call the mold to make your own shape. But even the common shapes, we have different types. I think we can share with you the pictures on the email.
Okay.
No, thank you so much. I have sent an email already requesting for that.
Okay.
Thank you, Anis.
Only two more, and we have 1 minute for two more.
I don't know if we have time to take them because this might take some time, because I will share these questions with you, or rather, let's just please, participants, just give us 5 minutes. We wrap up. Just respond to these two questions in one minute, and then so that we don't have another follow-up for the question. So go ahead, Zippy, in just the next 2 minutes. Thank you.
From Anne Leon, I am in Tanzania, process sunflower oil, honey, and make bar soaps. I have found it difficult to get appropriate packaging. Can you please advise where I can easily get them? Joseph, are you still there? Joseph?
That's what you are processing honey?
Honey, and make processing sunflower oil, honey, and make bar soaps.
When it comes to honey, there are those two options, as the previous we have addressed the other one. There are standard jars which are available off the shelf, and you have glass jars or plastic jars, PET. When it comes to honey, those are the options that are easily available for the common market. When it comes to vegetable oil, you have the PET bottles, which are easily available. Unless you have PET bottles, HDP bottles, but mainly, those two will do for vegetable oil. When it comes to bar soap, you can wrap the bar soap, and you need to work with whether if you have a wrapping machine, what we call a floor wrap machine, then you buy the packaging materials and you wrap it by machine, or you do it manually. Then you have the secondary pack, which is just ordinary boxes. So those are the options that you have, and with those oil and peat and the honey, you can shrink wrap or put in a box and take it to the market. So these are commonly available.
Yeah, I think Anne can send us an email, and we can help her follow through this, because she's looking for some advice. Finally, if Yinua Ndem, I process a cereal made from maize, rice, soybean, sorghum, dates, and groundnut. I package them in properly sealed pouches. Am I on the right path, or is there a better package for my products?
Can you answer that, Sipi, or I didn't hear you properly?
She says that I process a cereal made from maize, rice, soybean, sorghum, dates, and groundnut. So it's a mix. I package them in a properly sealed pouches. Am I on the right path, or is there a better package for my products?
I think you are on the right path.
Yeah.
You are on the right path.
Great. Great. Okay, so Sibley, I think we've gone through the questions, but I don't know how to get these questions so that we can, we can deep dive in some of them. Should the participants want to hear a bit more?
Thank you
But,
so much, ZP. Thank you,
yeah.
Joseph. So yes, I will share with you the questions, and then you can respond to them in a document. And then what we have been doing is that when we are sending the recording of this session for those who want to recap or those who missed, then they can always go back to refer back to the questions as well as to the video. So I will share that with you. So sorry.
And
Thank you
also,
so
sorry,
much. Yep.
sorry, Lee. I can see also on the chat, not on the chat, on the this other space, there were some other questions that came there. So perhaps you could take all of them. I think there are more questions.
No problem. Yes, I will share all of them and then share that with you.
Yeah.
Okay,
So anyway, thank you
Thank you
very
so
much for
much.
the opportunity
Yes.
to talk to your people.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that I have shared some good information, and I look forward to having more discussions in the near future. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, ZP. We really appreciate you, as well as Joseph. Thank you for coming in. Sorry about the challenge you had with the audio, but thank you so much. This was a really enlightening session, and we are really helpful to you for your time. We really appreciate you so much. Thank you for the knowledge and the insight. Nobody can repay that. I mean, nobody can repay for that kind of level of insight, but we really appreciate you taking time to just be with us and share this kind of information. So thank you so much. Participants, thank you for your time. So apologies, we've extended by 5 minutes, but I believe that was important that we do that. Next week, we'll have a very interesting session around marketing. We're calling it the genius marketers. That should be a very interesting session. So thank you so much. And as usual, we want to pass our regards and appreciation to ZP and Joseph. So I will request us, as usual, to turn on our cameras and our audio. Turn on your camera and your audio, please. Turn on your camera and your audio. I see you there, Chelimo. I see you there, Ayantola. Please. I can see some people still off. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you, Labode. Thank you, Moape. Please turn on your camera. Look at this one.
Thank you.
My face is dark. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you, ZP. Thank you, Leo,
Thank
and
you.
Joseph.
Thank you, Zippy.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank
Accra,
you.
Thank you,
and your team.
Joseph. Thank
Lee.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.
you,
Bye-bye.
everybody.